This is Savage Insomniac Radio. That's what I've decided on for the moment. If it changes, then it just does. And this is episode 8. I believe. She believes. If it's not episode 8 and it's out of order, whoops. And please just hopefully you'll move on to the next one. You'll survive. If it's out of order, you'll make it. Okay, so sorry, I'm
pretty sure it is though.
So I was sitting here tonight crocheting, and this is such a petty thing, I know. But maybe if you have chronic pain, you'll understand it's not petty. And maybe if you crow, you'll understand it's not petty if you've ripped something out 5 times after trying to follow somebody's instructions that were poor. And if you have cognitive delay, you'll understand that's more in pain that you're just like, fuck. Or maybe you're like, shoot, sorry. But Sarah came over and she decided to go ahead and work one along with me, which isn't a bad idea. It's a good idea. Get out the yarn and actually try it on her own. Although after 4 times, 3 times for me, I should have probably told her, no, you can come look and we can redo this one, but you can't start a new project, because then I had to try to help her because she was, fucking up, because cool British lady that we were following, her pattern on YouTube was like really nice voice and everything, great voice, wonderful voice, but she sucked at showing crochet. So far, she sucked at it. Oh, God. She makes all my symptoms go with her teaching. And she inspires me to want to teach crocheting, too. But anyway, so Sarah came over. She did some rows, and we got to the same spot. That was good. And then, I don't remember what it was, but I opted to switch colors. Yes, I opted to... I got to this point in the sock, and I was like, should I switch colors? And Sarah, I looked at this thing, and she was following the pattern. She knew what I wanted to see, and she was like, well, yeah, I think if you want to do it this way, which means if you want the sock to look like that, like a traditional sock, gray, white, gray, you guys know, gray in the little part of your toes, then white in the body of your, until you get to the heel, then gray on the heel, and then it goes back to white up the leg. You got to know this. It's a Walmart sock. You got to know it. And so she wasn't trying to pressure me. She doesn't care what I do. I could put 15 colors in there. She doesn't care.
I don't.
But here I am. Now I know if I switch to the white yarn, it's a little tiny bit different in stiffness. It's a little stiffer. It's a little less comfortable, but I can probably make it through. And it's going to be a little harder to crochet with. It's probably okay. Nah, it won't. It won't be hard to crochet with. It won't be. It will probably be fine. It will probably be the same as the nice and certain purple yarn that's in my hands and working quite fine and not causing problems. Oh, I'm sure it will be fine. It will. Don't go with intuition, which tells you the purple yarn is the way to go. Look away, and also go against logic. Logic tells you the purple yarn is soft, it feels good, it's working well, everything's a go, you've had a really rough night, don't switch to the white yarn, it's a little bit itchy, it may have been bothering your foot, may not have been come on and off your foot. Realistically, I didn't tell Sarah that until now, may not have been work. And then you're going to have to rip it all out way down the line, not just 4 rows in, but maybe 20 rows in, and you're going to be irritated because it's not going to go on your foot potentially. But go against that and go ahead and do it. So I went and did it, and guess what? My hands hurt after 4 rows. So guess what I had to do? I had to take it out, and now here I am talking to you. I haven't done anything more, actually. That was just the first or 2 stitches after that. You can't see it.
Well, at least you stopped before you got
But I stopped
20
myself
rows.
before I just about wanted, and my inflammatory responses all went up, which is the opposite of what you want. But this was the thing I was telling Sarah. So this brings me to what this episode is about. I'm sorry for that long intro, but if you know me, you know that I am not one for brevity. So you already knew that if you're here. And you expected nothing less, right? Okay, so most people, when they're trying to find out about red flags, and they're trying to find out how to do things, make decisions, right? But with me, when something comes upon me, like that obstacle, my intuition will tell me, Cheryl, just go ahead. I hate when people say that, but I'm going to do it this one. Go ahead and use that purple yarn. Logic tells me to do it, but then I, for some odd reason, opt to choose any secondary input or opinion and counter both logic and emotion or intuition. Then I'm surprised well, not fully, but I'm surprised when the outcome is unpleasant. And I'm like, that's an unpleasant outcome. And I'm all inflamed too. My brain, my body, my nerves.
Irritated,
And I'm
upset.
irritated. And but over and over again, repeatedly, I take a secondary source's advice or input, even if that advice or input is not forceful, as was the case tonight. And then, if it's something like a relationship, this has historically been what it's been. It's like, oh my goodness, there's a fire. Okay, I'll walk into that building just to hang out there. Not to help anyone, to hang out in the building, see whether I'll get burned. I'll take some safety stuff maybe, but I'm going in that building and sit there. So when I see red flags, I run toward the flags and support those flags. It is not that I don't see it. If I had to, I can give you a point at which I chose to look away from signs right away. Unfortunately, my feelings in another realm were grabbed a hold of. The person already had me. You remember Jerry Maguire? You had me at hello? They had me at hello. See, it was too late. After that point, I opted to look away from signals. I am very intuitive. Very intuitive. I'm not blaming myself. It's more of who opts against logic and intuition. Most people say I'm intuitive, but it just seemed illogical. Or I was illogical. You don't go with emotion. They usually don't say that those two things were in sync and then they go against it. What human being opts for this? Then there's a worse thing that can happen, and it does happen, and it's been happening lately. Some moron, and I'm going to use that word tonight because that way if Sandy's hearing it, it's at least not the worst word. Some moron comes along and says, oh, Cheryl, you know what? It's actually this this dumb thing about you. And you should do this. And then I'll go like this. I'll go, yeah, that sounds like that's a really important piece of advice from this complete buffoon that has no good advice, not just for me, but probably not for any other human being. Maybe not even for themselves. And I take that and run with it. And then who knows how much time I waste on it. And it's not a good idea. My idea was better than their idea. And I come back to that in the end. Maybe 2 months and maybe 10 years. I've had it happen. I'm coming up on it. It'll be coming up on 10 years of a bad idea. Actually, it's a few of those. And let me tell you something. I'm starting to wonder, I'm not the only intuitive person. Nah. So some women are walking into this, but their feelings are already with them, and they're going, yeah, I see that he slept with 14 women last weekend. But probably those women made him sleep with them. They come up with some illogical thing really fast that makes them look away from it. But before that illogical thing creeps in, maybe there was a moment where they were like, yeah, he slept with 14 people this last weekend. There's just no way around it. He's an asshole. He's not going to be committed. And I got to walk.
Going to be problems.
I chose that example, and I don't have to. I can choose another one. Let me see if I can get another one. So the person you see looks crazed. You're watching a video of theirs. They look crazed, like an animal almost. And they're doing a video. And you're looking at them going, that person seems crazed. They seem like if I got in touch with them, it may be unpleasant. It may create unpleasant feelings for myself, inflammation for myself, and maybe some bad feelings. I'm going to opt not to go with it because here's the option if you go with it. You contact crazy person, right? Not crazy person, but crazed person. Crazy person is not nice, right? But sometimes we call people crazy, don't we? Like Dahmer. Sorry to reference him, but you get my point. It happens. So you contact crazed person, and crazed person now is your contact, right? Your person. And they're making your daily world a nightmare with their now not YouTube video that you watched or face video that you watched on Facebook, but now it's your daily video with them. And they're making your world crazy And because you opted to go against your intuition that said, something's not right with that person. Something's not right with that crazy ass video they made and made public for everyone. That intuition was good. And logic is, why should someone put a video up online that's very, very unusual unless they're being comedic? And maybe be clear about that at some point instead of looking psychopathic? So, logic led me there, intuition led me there, but I opted to go against it. I got to spend 3 months in hell for that. Do you see? And I'm sorry that I referenced somebody who was really bad. I'm a person who normally doesn't. Everyone who knows me knows that. But when I use the word crazy, I don't want people to think that I take mental health issues or mental health problems lightly. And so I felt the need to to explain. And I couldn't think of any other person. Unfortunately, somebody referenced that person recently. So, and actually, just about everyone that listens to me can probably handle that. And if you don't know who it is, please don't go and look. Please don't. If you listen to me this far, please don't go look that up. Just take it to mean that somebody really bad. You know? I say that because I really think it's kind of poisonous to remind some of these people. I just couldn't think of a better. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of a better example. But I wanted to get my thoughts out on this because I'm often, and some women do need guidance on this. I'm often talking about red flags and explaining them, and some of the first red flags are actually very basic. So they're like somebody giving you unsolicited advice that's kind of snarky, kind of rude, kind of haughty, and you're kind of like, what? Is this for real? Like you're sitting there and because this person's supposed to be caring about you and it's, whether they're a friend or whether they're a romantic interest, and they're supposed to care about how you feel, and they're telling you advice that you so don't need. Like you need their advice, like you need, I don't know, ill-fitting underwear or something like that. Like you don't need it. But they give it to you. And you put up with that, even though it's damaging. So that may be one. And maybe another is just somebody kind of looking out for themselves in a way that's over the top, like trying to make sure that you pay half the bill all the time when they actually are doing okay financially. And that kind of insensitivity if you're in a situation where you can't do it. It's kind of small things. Okay, like I can talk about that. I don't know if I want to get off into that. But I also think that we look away in ourselves from intuition and logical responses. So just sometimes there's nothing going on, but you're just like, I shouldn't be around this person. Just shouldn't. And you hang there anyway. And I can't tell you how many times I hung there anyway. I have too many hung there anyway stories. And Sarah has a few hung there anyway stories because of me. I'm not sure if she'd have those. Anyway, I don't know because, the toxic fish thing, if you listened before, so many toxic fish. Sarah may have come across a few herself too. And even though, yes, she could have gotten some of her unfortunate input from the level of dysfunctional people that have come my way that I have fortunately put up with, she also has seen me put my foot down. And I have explained to her time and time again, does she want to repeat the dysfunction that I did? And I asked this question myself when I was a kid, but I should have asked it more. Okay, because it's one thing to kind of go there because you're psychologically, manipulated to go there or coerced to go there, maybe. Mm-hmm. But if you know what's going on, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna fall in a big deep pit, I'm actually gonna do it. I'm gonna opt to fall in the pit. You may want to look down at that pit and maybe give it a thought, because once you get in the pit, it's really hard to climb out of the pit. Sometimes you can't get out of the pit for like years, and then you're like, fucking pit. You're mad about the pit, and then you keep going into other pits too. in that pit. You're inside a pit, going into a pit, a pit. I can't even tell you.
Used to
Imagine.
live in the pits.
Imagine pits inside pit, inside pit, and all the way down. And then you're climbing out of there. It's like Dante's Inferno, but in pits. I don't even know what this Dante's Inferno is. Why am I constantly referencing it? Okay, you get my point. If you do not, don't worry, because I'm going to keep talking about red flags. If you don't have that intuition and logic thing that you're stupidly going against, or do you? If you do, please share in the comments. I do want to hear. Tell a small story. You don't have to say a lot. You can say it in video if you want. I'm actually a fan of being able to see things, so feel free. But I just, what I mean is, you don't have to, but you can definitely do a response or say something. Because I'm realizing for myself that I am opting out. And people always tell me, you should be logical. So, but so I think I've always considered myself intuitive. So I've been like, well, I should really, really use logic. But what I realized tonight is that yes, I am logical and yes, I am intuitive. But when making decisions, I fully go against logic and human intuition. And I opt for whatever advice there is, bad or good. And I'm telling you tonight, don't do that, or today, don't do that. Follow your intuition and logic. If those two conflict, you need to do some thinking on that and probably err on the side on intuition. It is usually right. It's usually right even when you're test taking. That last question where you answered it and you went, no, maybe I should do it again. It's usually not right, and you usually get it wrong. You know I'm right, and you know that you always answered C if you remember those things, and that was generally true in tests, although I think that's bullshit. I don't think that's true. I don't think always answering C is a good idea on tests. Because it doesn't make any sense. The teacher would make C be the answer several times in a row, and they wouldn't have a standardized test. So anyway, you get my point. I'm going to stop talking because at this point now you're starting to hear like ramblings of someone on cannabis. So I got to stop. So take care. And that's it. Until next time.